This is your captain speaking. Wind's heading in at southeast 45 miles an hour.
You could expect some turbulence.
We'll be flying at 25,000 feet.
Should be going about 520 miles an hour cruising speed.
And if you get on your fucking cell phone...
with a nose firmly pressed
right up the bum
into the ham hocks.
I'll make love to you. Butt kisser.
Ooh.
And now for two guys who think they have something to say to the world. Here's Natty Ice and Wise Kai.
Hello and welcome back to North by Nowhere, now bottled at the source. Today,
delicious.
Me and Wise Kai are going to talk about the types of coworkers that we kind of don't like, or that we do like.
Yeah, just the people you work with.
You know, that type of deal.
The people you find. Before we get into that, I have... close to this date, actually I'll just do the year. I have the number one songs up from 10 years ago.
Okay.
And 20 years ago.
Even better.
No. Yeah. If the math checks out. So in 2005, I have, let's see, how many are there? There's like 10, so I'll just go through them. Let Me Love You by Mario.
Don't even know that.
Me either. Candy Shop by 50 Cent featuring Olivia.
I know that one.
Remember that one?
Yeah.
Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani.
Yeah.
We Belong Together by Mariah Carey.
Don't know it.
Inside Your Heaven by Carrie Underwood.
Also don't know it.
Yeah. Mariah Carey again with We Belong Together. That popped up May 29th and then July 3rd.
That's stupid.
That's interesting.
You shouldn't be allowed to have two spots on the list.
I know. Gold Digger by Kanye West featuring Jamie Foxx.
That's a naughty song. You say bad words in it.
That's a good one. Run It by that person who beat Rihanna. And Don't Forget About Us by Mariah Carey. She had 3 spots.
This was 10 years ago?
For the U.S.
Why do
The U.S. charts.
I don't really remember Mariah Carey 10 years ago.
No, but...
I feel like she was more 15 to 20 years ago.
Yeah, I'm still into rock and roll, so I didn't really pay attention.
That's very true.
Anyway, in 1995, you'll remember a lot of these.
God, this old Milwaukee is good.
So disgusting. On Bended Knee by Boyz II Men.
Yep.
Creep.
My mom was a huge Boyz II Men.
Oh, really?
There is actually a story.
Okay. We have time.
It's not very long.
Mm-hmm.
She always talks about how one time I went into some aisle by myself in a grocery store while she was there.
I thought you meant like an island. I was like...
No, not that kind of aisle.
That's what just came up to my mind.
But she was looking for me, and then all of a sudden she heard singing, I'll make love to you. And it was me and some, like, young. She thinks that's pretty hilarious.
That is pretty hilarious. If I saw a kid now singing something like that, I would laugh.
Yep, I'd laugh to. I'd be like, God, that person's parents are stupid.
Where are your parents? Where am I? Creep by TLC.
Oh, great song.
Yep.
TLC was awesome.
They were.
I liked them.
They were. They're on this twice. Take a Bow by Madonna. Whatever.
Don't know if I know that one.
Yeah, probably not. This Is How We Do It, Montel Jordan.
Yep.
That's the one. Have You Ever Really Loved a Woman by Bryan Adams.
That's a great song.
Is it? I don't think I've heard that one.
You would know it if you heard it, I bet.
Oh, okay. Another one by TLC, Waterfalls. It's quintessential.
Great song. Yeah.
Quintessential. Kiss from a Rose by Seal.
Oh, man. Batman. That was, which one was that? That wasn't George Clooney. I think that was Val Kilmer. Yep. So that one was what?
I mean, this was 95.
Batman Forever.
Yeah. And it came out close to 95, didn't it?
The movie?
Yeah.
Well, that song was made for the movie.
Right.
So yeah.
What else we got? You Were Not Alone by Michael Jackson.
I don't think I know that one.
Yeah, I don't know that one either. Gangster's Paradise by Coolio.
Well, I can only think of Weird Al's version of that.
Yeah, and that's the one I have on my playlist, actually. Amish Paradise.
Yeah.
Fantasy by Mariah Carey.
There she is again, huh? Yeah. See, this is, what, 20
That's
years
Mariah
ago?
Carey, yeah.
See, that makes more sense to me.
Mm-hmm. Whitney Houston, Exhale, Shoop Shoop.
She's dead now.
Mm-hmm. And Mariah Carey again, featuring, or with Boys to Men, One Sweet Day. You ever heard that one? I haven't heard that one either. And anyway, that's your top, whatever songs. I mean, none of which are rock and roll.
None of which I would actually sit and listen to. Should
we go 10 more years back? I want to see if there's rock and roll in there. Because that's
but then we're getting into the 80s, and it's probably a lot of pop 80s.
Yeah. Madonna's all over this
I'm sure she is.
Let's just pick up. Foreigner's on there.
Foreigner, there
I want
we
to know
go.
what love is.
It's still pretty poppy. That's a ballad.
REO Speedwagon, Can't Fight This Feeling.
Also a ballad, but a great song.
Phil Collins, One More Night.
Yeah,
is all that comes to mind when you think of Phil Collins. Bryan Adams again with Heaven.
That's a fantastic song.
Yeah, I'm not going to read all these because there's actually a lot of them. Money for Nothing by Dire Straits. I remember that song.
It's a good song.
Take On Me.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Why not?
So that was 30 years ago?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Part-Time Lover by Stevie Wonder. Phil Collins and Marilyn Martin, Separate Lives. I've never heard that song before. Lionel Richie, Say You, Say Me. Where would some rock be? What, 80s? Like just
70s probably. 70s would be more like into your Zeppelins and your you know, those types of bands.
Here's a 1980 Queen, Crazy Little Thing.
There we go. I mean, we're getting a little warmer now.
Billy Joel, it's still rock and roll to me.
That's a great song.
Yeah. Queen, Another One Bites the Dust.
Also
Barbra Streisand, Woman in Love, not rock and roll.
I don't know that song.
John Lennon, whatever. We are really just filling time. Elton John's on the 75 list.
I suppose
Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds.
Yeah.
The Carpenters, Please Mr. Postman. Let's see. Eagles, Best of My Love.
There we go.
There's rock and roll. Doobie Brothers, Black Water.
Oh, that's a great song. I love that song.
That's pretty good. Elton John again, Philadelphia Freedom. Earth, Wind, and Fire, Shining Star.
That's a fantastic song.
John Denver, Sunshine on My Goddamn Shoulders, John Denver. Thank God I'm a country boy.
Oh, man.
What else we got? Nothing really. Oh, David Bowie with Fame.
Boo.
David Bowie again with Fame. He's on there twice for the same song. Yeah. Casey and the Sunshine Band. That's the way I like it.
I like it.
Yeah. But yeah, so there you are. Oh, and they do the top five. Top 5 songs in 1975. Yeah, it's pretty much everything I just read. Okay. All right, should we move on then?
We should.
We shall. So, we have our top 5. And we didn't compare lists before this. So I'm pretty sure
we probably have some of the same.
Probably
that's
some similarities, yeah.
But
you go ahead with your number 5.
The number 5 that bugs me. This one bugs me. Let's be real. All of mine are basically coworkers that bother me.
Are they?
Yeah.
Ice with the negativity over there.
Yeah, that's just kind of how I am.
I have 3 that bug me and 2 that are good. But.
And don't get me wrong, there are ones that I like.
Yeah.
I like some coworkers.
Yeah.
But considering I only have a coworker, it's,
I was going to say, let's preface this by saying it's not necessarily our current jobs.
No, not at all.
It's just people we've either dealt with before or have observed in the past.
Yeah.
So this is not a shot at anybody in particular.
No.
If it is, you're not going to know it. But
you probably don't listen anyway because we probably don't like each other very much. That's just saying. You should listen though.
Yeah, please share.
So
comment,
my number 5 would
subscribe.
be the overachiever.
Oh, almost.
Okay,
it was almost on mine.
I've been guilty of this before. I can't. Sure. I can't really say all negativity about it.
Yeah,
I could say negativity against myself, I suppose.
Well, these are the archetypes of people that do this. What, usually day to day?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like always.
Yeah, I think we're all guilty of being something on this list.
Yeah, definitely.
Aside from my number 5, but we'll get to that.
Okay. This person's always going out of their way to please everybody. And to basically be the person that's shining in upper management's eyes all the time. Oftentimes it seems like these people are always following someone of higher power around.
With a nose firmly pressed.
Right up the bum.
Into the ham hocks.
Yeah. They agree with everything they say. They copy everything they do. Yeah. It also seems like these are the type of people who will undermine anyone to get noticed by upper management.
Yeah. throw you right under that bus.
Yes, exactly. And I think that's probably the thing about this type of person that bothers me the most is like, if you make a mistake, own up to it. They'd probably actually like you more if you own up to it and say, hey, this was stupid, but I did it. And they'd be like, well, what did you learn?
I've actually, experienced that firsthand.
I've done it.
Yeah.
At my current job even.
And I've done it at the last job I had.
Yeah.
And the boss there. And they were like, why is Kai getting out so easy? He's like, cause he told me.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like straight up, he just told me he screwed up.
Yeah. Well, at my current job, I deleted a bunch of profiles out of one of our servers once.
Yikes.
Which in turn deleted,
Did you recover them?
which in turn deleted like all of their documents.
Ooh.
And these were documents that they needed.
Ice did a bad.
Okay. Yeah, it was a bad thing. And it was actually about a month after I started at my job. Yikes. And I've been there for 2 years now, so we're okay. I mean, we've recovered now. We're finally recovered. No, we found some software to pull stuff back that had been deleted. But the only downside of it is like the stuff that got brought back just had like GUIDs for its name. So it wasn't like an actual name of the document. So they had to literally go through every single document and rename it.
Yikes.
It was a bad deal. It was a no-no by me. It was a learning experience.
Every mistake is a learning
And the
experience.
funny thing is my boss just looked at me and said, I bet you won't do that again. Like, yeah,
and
you are
did you?
right. That would be my number 5.
That's your number 5? Okay, my number 5 is the eye candy.
I didn't even think of that.
Yeah. Now this can be a guy or a girl.
Oh, yes.
Usually a girl, but
Very true.
guys are there too. You see them often, especially if you aren't this type of person, which I am clearly not.
I mean, have you seen
Have
me?
you?
Look at me right now.
It's the good looking somebody who people are just a little nicer to and go that extra step to help them because of some subconscious, or if you're creepy, a conscious need to reproduce.
Yep.
And don't kid yourselves, people. You're not helping them because they need it. You're helping them because you're a nice person. You, on some level or another, want a little something.
Oh, yeah.
Now this is more of a reflection upon ourselves than the eye candy in particular. However, the worst types of eye candy out there are the ones that know it and use it to their advantage.
Oh, yeah.
At least, now there's no shame in using what you have to your advantage when times call for it. However, using it as an excuse to get others to do tasks you don't want to do makes you the worst kind of person.
Oh, yeah. And that's very, very true. I work in a place that is dominated by females.
Yeah.
And you can tell the ones that know that they're good looking.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can just walk through a hallway and be like, she knows. She knows. She knows.
Look at her flipping her hair.
Yep.
Look at him flexing his muscles.
I feel like these are also the ones that try to sweet talk you on stuff.
Oh, yeah.
They still be like, oh, can you come up here and do this?
Could you do inventory for me?
Yep. And they have that sweet little voice that they know is just gonna.
Last time I did it, and I'm such a dunce.
Yeah.
Help me.
Look at me.
I will help you, but I'm not going to do it for you. But yeah, so that's pretty much. And for everyone standing on the outside of the situation, watching you flaunt this skill makes you transparent to them and less likely to be affected by your good looks next time. And
that happens often. And then I really think that particular person gets really bothered by that when someone doesn't help them
when
anymore.
It doesn't help.
Yeah. They don't like that.
And when that happens, when your good looking charms fail you, I mean, you can come to me, please let me smell your hair.
Wise Guy wants them broken and battered.
Broken and battered.
You heard it here, folks.
Send me all of your psychological problems. But that's it for number 5.
All right. So my next one is actually the opposite of my first one. It's the underachiever.
Oh, that's my number 4 too.
Once again,
the bare minimum.
Yeah. Once again, I've been guilty of this.
Oh, yeah. Well, on certain days, of course.
On certain days.
Everyone is.
My last job toward the end, I was definitely guilty of this because I was so ready to get out of that place.
Nathan, Ice, could you take care of this? No.
Well, it was like, sure. And then I'd like half-ass it and, we're good. Bare minimum to get by, which was bad because I was training people.
Oh, well,
but, whatever.
I mean, you left the place worse than it is, so.
And let's be real here. It is not a good way to be.
No.
At
Oh,
all.
God, no.
And then, when I think back on it now, I actually do feel kind of bad about being that way. Because I'm like, I really shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But on top of that, my last place of work was basically falling apart by the time I was done there anyway. And it was like, these people aren't going to have jobs for more than 5 months anyway. What's the point? But it's a bad way of thinking, of course.
It really is.
But
you want to do the best job you can while you're there.
Yes, you really do. It seems like these are the people that will do whatever they can to get out of a job.
Oh, yeah.
So like they'll call in sick. They'll act like they're sick while they're at work just so they don't have to do stuff. And they'll act like they don't know anything about the subject at hand, which is usually crap.
Yeah. Oh,
because,
yeah.
I mean,
like 100% of the time.
Clearly you know something if you were there.
It makes things like difficult and uncomfortable.
Yeah.
When you're there. Because no, I'm not above admitting my own faults. When I see this happen, I should say something to them. However, you have to remember that you'll see this person again tomorrow. And the next day and the next day, you have to work with this person. If they're the petty type, they'll just spread all sorts of rumors like, hey, Kai over there is just a hard ass. Like, don't even talk to him.
Yep.
He's just going to yell at you. And just the whole pettiness of it all. So I should say something to the lazies around there, but I don't want that kind of backlash, I should say.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And once again, I only have one coworker, so it's a lot easier where I'm at now. But at my last job, man, there were so many of these people.
Yeah.
Because you come into a place where you're starting to make pretty decent money and you start off making decent money. So, by the time that you're there for a year and a half and you haven't gotten a raise and this stuff, I mean, you're thinking to yourself, why am I doing this still?
Yeah.
So then you
why am I trying as hard as I am?
You coast along.
Yeah.
It's,
and like I said, I've been guilty. When I was younger, especially when I had my first job, I didn't want to do a dang thing except be there. I worked at a fast food restaurant, we'll just say, and I just wanted to be there, take the orders, go home. I didn't want to clean anything.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to go back and cook when they were on break, stuff like that.
See, and I was actually the opposite when I was younger.
Oh, really? You were hardworking?
Well, when I worked at the fast food place I worked at, it was one of those things where I tried.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't know why.
Sure.
I wanted to be a trainer really bad. I don't know if people who know me know that I like to
boss people around.
I don't really like to boss people around.
Yeah, I mean, just
I like
give
to
it
share knowledge.
Bark orders from atop your throne.
I'm not sure. Fine. I like to be the boss. No. But I think that was probably what drove me at that job, but whatever.
Sure.
But, the last thing about these people that bug me the most is it's probably the thing that bothers me the most is that you can tell that they have no desire to get ahead.
Yeah. Or
they really do
well.
Yeah. Yep. And they really do, what is expected of them and never any more. And oftentimes less.
Yeah, they don't want to pick up the slack. You have to pick up their slack. That's what makes me so upset. And so I kind of invented my own way to go about it. And I do pick up their slack right next to them. And I do it way faster than they can. And you have to do it with some grace. So when the boss comes around and tells you, good job stocking those shelves, you too, the person you're working with, the lazy guy, good job working those shelves. You go, well, I couldn't do it without him. And no sarcasm in there. You just say it as the nicest person in the world. And that really identifies the person, because if they work with you after that moment and they pick up their pace, you know that they're essentially a good person, but just had...
They just needed a little poke.
A little poke. But if they're continually lazy, you can either assume that they're stupid and don't know how to do their job.
Which there are plenty of those too. Yeah.
Or that they're just going to continue being lazy and you don't have to waste your breath on them because they won't change.
Yep.
But yeah, that was my number 4 as well as yours.
Oh, okay.
So do you want me to go number 3?
Whatever.
Let's go with number 3. Number 3, the forgetful. This person.
You're coming up with way better ones than I did.
I've had a lot of time to think. This person has an amazing superpower, dear friends. Such an astonishing ability that they should be featured in the next Avengers movie. Folks, this is a person who can learn a vital part of their job, perform it to some ability that day, that week, even that month. But when they go home and sleep, everything gets erased.
There's software that does that.
Yeah.
On a computer.
I mean, it's like working with a guy from Memento. I mean, let's say I show a person, in order to clean the Slurpee machine, for instance, just pulling out a hypothetical.
Yeah, sure.
In order to clean the Slurpee machine, it has to be turned completely off and unplugged, or else the Slurpees are going to taste like soap the next day. Not sure if that's the actual procedure. Yeah. Let's make one up. And I stress this unplug, this off, to the infinite point that the Slurpee, it should be ingrained in their head. Next week, customer comes up, tells me the Slurpees taste like soap. I shoot our forgetful coworker a sideways glance and ask, "Did you shut off the machine before you cleaned it?" And they respond with "Oh, it's supposed to be shut off?" As if a sudden moment of pure revelation. Now, this may be excusable for a day because we live in a world where face punching isn't allowed. but fast forward to, 3 weeks and this person's still making that same mistake among others. I'm left speculating if they don't do this on purpose just to make an excuse not to work. But then I take a small look at what they do while they're on break or they're outside of work or something like that, and they're sitting there adding salt to their coffee instead of sugar, or forgetting to breathe.
That'd be gross.
But it's amazing. Like, some of these people they don't process information. It just goes in and they perform the job for the day, and then they come back and it's gone.
I guess I've never had to deal with somebody like that before.
I could say some stories off the air.
Yeah.
When we're not live. So that was my number 3.
Okay. So my next one would be the control freak.
Okay.
So the person who has to be in control of every aspect of everything. So if anything deviates from their plan, they make it show that they aren't happy.
Yeah.
And that's annoying to me.
Passive aggressively.
Yeah, very passive aggressively. It's like, you know what? If you had a plan and you wanted to stick to it and somebody deviates from that plan, just say so.
Yeah.
Don't be smug and passive aggressive and be like, well, this person over here, they only did that. Blah, blah, blah,
Or they wait for someone to screw up.
Yep, exactly. And then or they rip them. And it's like, well, there's no point in doing that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter who they're talking to. They'll still think that they can tell them what to do. And that makes everyone around them uncomfortable.
Very.
I mean, because everybody knows that they're kind of digging their own graves.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, have you ever been around somebody who kind of tells the boss what to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's weird.
Yeah, you don't feel right in that situation.
But that's more on the boss's side.
Kind of.
They should take them aside and say, "Hey, listen, shut up."
Yeah. Do it again and I'll fire you.
Yeah, because I sign your paychecks.
Yeah. Yeah. But it seems like that type of thing happens a lot. And that is one of those things that, in a place like where I work, that type of thing happens all the time.
All the time?
Yep.
All the time.
Everybody seems to think that they have a better way of doing something than the other person.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And more often than not, they're doing the exact same stuff. It's just they're doing it in a different order, or they're doing it in a slightly different way. But it's like
the end result's the same.
Yeah, it's like, why can't we just come up with one procedure to do something, and that's the way to go?
Yeah,
and it's because there's the control freaks around, and they just like being that way.
There's a great phrase called standard of procedure.
Oh yeah,
and once you write that down and have it be official, and just say, hey, listen, it's on paper.
And then the other thing about these guys is that they're usually high strung because they're afraid of something going wrong.
Like violinist.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Oh, when you're older.
Okay, thank you. And like, as I said before, if anything goes wrong, they let it be known and they really show it. And that's part of that high strung nature.
Yep.
That, I mean, something goes wrong, you don't, as the control freak, you don't feel right.
Yeah.
And you need people to know that you are just not feeling good.
Yeah. It's a bad deal.
Yep.
Yeah. It creates a work environment of almost fear.
Kind of.
Because if not fear, deception a little bit, because if you're working with somebody is
quit putting your finger at me, it hurts.
Working with somebody that's a little laid back, you feel like the both of you have to sneak around this person's way of doing things, and you're like, don't tell Martha that we're doing it this way, or else she's gonna be really mad. I've never worked with a Martha.
Yeah, me neither.
I was not a shot at anybody, but yeah. All right. My number 2 is the experienced. Oh, we're on to the good people for my list.
For you.
For my list, we're on to the good people. The experienced. The experienced is a man you want for any team and any job. The guy that's been there for years. He has many roles to play. The job for the experienced is to keep the ideas of the boss or whoever's in charge in reality. Mm-hmm. So something like they say, we need this done in 30 minutes, says the boss. Yeah, you're going to need to give us 45, replies the experienced person. Just someone who's been there and knows the ropes and stuff like that. He's also a good trainer to show the rookie around and stuff like that. And
I would think that this type of person is somebody that boss trusts.
Yes.
So when
definitely.
they say
there is a bad experienced person.
So when they say they need 45 minutes, the boss is like, yeah, okay, I can see that.
Yeah. Yeah, because we've worked with
plenty of those.
Yeah, plenty of those people. Mm-hmm. And there was the good kind who, like I said, generally the boss trusts, or like you said, generally the boss trusts and can really put into realism the logistics of everything. Mm-hmm. And it kind of knows the little tips and tricks to make everything easier. And then there's the bad one, the one that's bitter. Mm-hmm. And has just been there for way too long and needs to retire or go find somewhere else because they're clearly not happy. Mm-hmm. The one where the boss comes around and says, I need you to do this. And they're like, oh, great. Then we're going to have to do this. Yep. And and just spout out a whole bunch of negativity.
Or you have the passive aggressive experienced guy. He needs you to get this done in 15 minutes. Well, it's going to take 30, but we can try.
But that's cool. We can just give us half the time. We could try for it.
If you only give us half the time, I suppose we'll only tighten half the bolts. Yeah. We'll just kind of see how it goes.
Only do half the work and then clock out. But so that's all I got for that one, number 2.
I guess my number 2 is a lot like my number 4. Mm-hmm. I guess when I was writing this, I didn't really think, but whatever.
Sure. Go for it.
So the butt kisser.
Ooh.
Yeah. I shouldn't say they also, these people hang on like every word of their superiors. And in my experience, these are the type that are looked down on by everybody that works at the company who knows this person. Because they're like, oh, here's this person following that person around like a puppy dog, know?
Yeah, I could see this being different than the overachiever because the overachiever at least works.
That's true.
Maybe a little too hard.
Yep.
Making the other team look bad. Stuff they don't have to do. But the butt kisser, it just follows the boss around.
Yep. And it's one of those things like how do I say it?
We need this done in 15 minutes. You heard them, boys.
Yeah.
15 minutes.
Yeah. Or,
you better get down here, Junior, and work with us.
They'll be the type that will, the boss will say something along the lines of, you need to be a little more assertive at work.
Sure.
And then from then on out, that person is annoyingly assertive.
Oh, yeah.
That's kind of what I'm getting at.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, they're like the annoyingly assertive. They take really any type of negativity that's given to them by the boss and like try to really knock it out of the park next time.
Right. Just go over the top.
Because they're looking for that gratification. They're looking for that
pat on the head.
The little stroke, the little pat on the head.
Here's a treat.
Yeah. And they're often the subject of quote unquote water cooler talk. Mm-hmm. Did you see what this dude did today?
Yeah.
He's such a butt kisser. Yeah. Usually everything that's said about them is not good.
Sure. And there's nothing wrong with a little.
No.
Sometimes you got to do it to get ahead.
Yes,
you do.
that is very true.
But we all know the guy. Mm-hmm. The one guy that no matter what. Mm-hmm. And you should follow the boss around if you respect him. Yep. Not just because he's the boss.
Yeah. Very much.
Is what I think.
There's a good possibility that this person wants to advance in the company, which is fine and dandy. Everybody should want to advance, in my opinion. But management likely won't give them that advancement just because they can't think for themselves.
Right. They're a programmable robot.
Yeah. And, if you get to a certain point in a company, there's nobody else around to tell you what to do. You have to come up with your own ideas, and then that person fails because there's nobody telling them what to do anymore.
Yeah, guys like that are like middle management at best.
Because everybody above them knows that, well, if this person moves up, then this isn't going to get done because nobody's telling them what to do anymore.
Right, exactly. If he has to think for himself, we're est.
Yep.
Effed.
Est? Did you say est or effed? Kyle's had beer.
I've had a little.
a little beer today.
Number purple.
The number purple.
Number B.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that person.
Is that all you got on that?
Yeah, that's my butt.
Oh,
kisser.
right. Cool.
Booty.
The booty. My number one is the leader.
Okay.
And quintessential.
Yes.
The leader is someone who inspires the other workers. And let me make it clear that the leader is not necessarily the boss. And there is a clear difference between the two.
Big difference.
Yep. A boss is someone who sits upon a throne and barks orders down at his subjects like Natty Ice over there. A boss
You're not
is
gonna let that one go. are you?
Nope. Is the top brass thinking of jobs and responsibilities to give without knowing how war is fought in the trenches. A leader is the one.
Getting awfully dramatic over
Let's put some heroic music back behind this. A leader is the one in the foxhole with you, fighting by your side and pushing or pulling the team with them. When the job gets too tough, it's the leader that pats you on the back, tells you that we can do this, and pushes through it with you until the work is done. Mm-hmm. This enigmatic character may not have all the best answers, may not be the strongest, the fastest, and most experienced, but he is the one that can hold the team together and push them to accomplish a greater goal. The key difference between a boss and a leader is that a leader will never ask you to do a job that they aren't willing to do themselves.
Yeah.
Or to do with you.
Yeah.
So
I feel like when I worked at a place and then you worked at the place after me.
Yes.
There was very clear leader.
Yeah. Yeah. And the very clear experienced as well.
Yes, both ways. And then there's also the very clear boss.
Yeah.
But
and the bad kind of experience.
And the bad kind of experience.
He had a lot of silver. And that's all I'm going to say on him. But, that guy was a treat.
Sure was.
But, and don't get us wrong. I mean, a boss has a valid place in the job world. Especially with larger corporations, because you can't always expect a boss to do every little task. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you need somebody there who can put everything together logistically and, just kind of delegate jobs that come by. I don't agree with it. I think every person in a leadership position, a boss type position, should have knowledge of what the job is.
Oh, yeah.
As in doing it first.
And I kind of feel like you should never be hired as a manager if you haven't done the job below you before.
Right. Yeah, you shouldn't, but that's
not how the world works.
Exactly. Yeah. There are some companies that only promote within.
Which is cool.
Yeah, but they're usually smaller. Mm-hmm. And there's a reason. I mean, you can't have a large corporation where that goes on. I don't see why not, but that's not my call to make.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting social study.
Yeah, dude, definitely. But so that's all I got to say about that.
Okay, I also have a quintessential one.
Okay,
but it's on the bad side.
Shorter.
It's the gossip.
Yeah. Good call.
Every workplace.
I work with so many of them.
And that's the thing.
It's just normal.
Yeah, you almost don't even realize that they're there anymore because that's just how it always is.
Mm-hmm.
Every workplace has one of these, if not far more than that. When you work in a place like I do, you hear a lot of catty comments.
Yep.
You go on every which way.
Oh, yes.
Not only from the women that work there, the men are
men
just
do it
the
too.
same. My boss and I are guilty of it sometimes,
Yeah.
That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
But these are the people that are always doing it.
Yeah. There's a old guy that I might have worked with or might work with now. You'll never know. But he swears that the job he had when they introduced women is when the gossip started. And
my God.
And I'm like, first of all, he's 106.
Yeah,
and I'm like,
that makes sense then.
I'm like, really? Probably before women came, it was just a bunch of guys gossiping and agreeing with each other.
And that's probably it.
But yeah. And I mean, you're always going to run into a little office talk just because that is your thing, 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week.
Yes.
It's a majority of your life, sadly enough. So of course you're going to talk about other people's lives, when you don't have anything to comment on yours.
Yeah.
But I do hear what you're saying. There's those people that just, that's what they live for.
That's like all the time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. It's like they feed off of it. And that's what I don't get.
It makes them stronger.
And that person is usually not liked by anybody.
No.
And
You have to be careful what you say around them.
except maybe by the other gossips.
Yeah,
Then
of
they
course.
might like it because, then they have stuff to talk about with each other type of deal. But like you said, you have to be careful. I mean, they have to be avoided because nobody wants to get into it with them.
I've learned to use it,
Oh, okay.
actually.
Please share.
There is a gossip that I have worked with. You'll never know. And they have an ear to the ground. Now, most of it might be rumors, but rumors always have a grain of truth.
That's very true.
And so you keep this person on your side and you let them gossip in your ear. And a lot of times you'll hear what's circling around the office so that if you ever need information, you have it readily available.
That's true.
I am a mastermind of
I was
evil.
going to say that's also kind of making you an enabler at that point.
A little bit, yeah.
But I
get
do.
that.
I mean, I get I hear where you're coming from.
If you control the information,
Yeah.
you control the whole office.
I mean, these are the people that always have somebody or something to talk about, though.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, dedefinitely.
They'll find anything.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see what this person is wearing today?
Yeah. Yeah, or heaven forbid that a guy and a girl start talking to each other, because that's out of there.
Why are they talking to each other? Have you heard anything?
Yeah. He sure does smile at her a lot.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's all I got.
Yeah, that's all I got too. Hey, we saw Mad Max yesterday.
Oh, we did. That wasn't a question. Sorry.
When this,
we did. Yeah. How was it for us?
I suppose when this one goes up on our site, it'll be a few weeks.
Right.
But if you haven't seen it yet, you really should. The main reason being is that there's hardly any plot to it.
Yeah.
But it's just fun. The whole thing is just fun.
Yeah. The plot that is there is very easily understandable.
Oh, yeah. It's not
in a bad way. That's not a bad thing.
It's made to be an action movie.
Yeah. Yeah. Old school, just right from the start.
Yeah. And if you hear from anybody that's just a 2-hour-long car chase, they're lying.
Yeah.
Because there is plenty of other stuff going on.
There's some exposition and, yeah.
My only complaint was that the theater we went to was just not loud enough. I just couldn't hear anything.
I know, it was like, it was the equivalent of watching it at home and like your mom comes down the steps and goes, "Could you turn that down? We're going to bed."
And
or your wife or girlfriend or
then you have to turn it down and sit there and be like, oh, I can't hear this.
I gotta turn the subtitles on.
Yeah, there's no point in doing this.
I mean, we could hear it. It would have been 100% better if
it was ear shattering.
If I couldn't hear my own thoughts.
Yeah. Well,
during it.
Okay, so there was like a fan above us.
Yeah, and I heard it the whole time.
The whole movie.
It was bad. And like anytime someone reached over to get like their snack or whatever, like usually you can hear the crinkling of a wrapper, but
that's usually fine because there's so much sound coming at you from everywhere.
And with all those explosions and the motors running and that mobile soundtrack with the drummers and the guitarist.
Truthfully, to me, it sounded like the speakers at the front of the stadium were on and all the surround speakers were just not on.
I don't know. So that was kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it was very disappointing. But
maybe go see it again.
Maybe.
And then ask him to crank.
Yeah. The movie itself was great, though. I mean, Tom Hardy is like a bona fide action star.
He did a good job for Mad Max, who really doesn't have to act a whole lot.
No, not really. Really, the star of that movie was Charlize Theron.
Yeah.
She was great.
She was good. She was
what she said over there.
Yeah, she was a badass lady.
Because we don't swear on this podcast.
We're not putting explicit on it.
Yeah. Hey, you out there.
Come apologize.
Nope.
Okay.
Fine.
Can't tell me what to do.
Yeah, great movie though. You should see it. If you haven't.
Definitely see it a couple of a lot of people are saying it was better than the Avengers.
Oh, I wouldn't go that far.
Well, it depends on what you're into.
I suppose.
It's different than the Avengers, even though they're both action films.
Yeah, there was a lot of difference.
But the Avengers is kind of that new age action where there's a lot of plot in there as well and funny moments.
Yes.
But
this one didn't really have any funny moments.
This a couple, but not
like
it was something just to break up everything else.
Very much.
But yeah, this one was pure adrenaline action. And if you're lucky enough to get to a theater where it's big booming sounds with all that, you're going to be pulled in and possibly pooping yourself.
I would hope not, because
bring your brown pants.
I'd feel sorry for the person that was like sitting next to you at that point.
Yeah. Because you can't really get up.
Unless they poop too.
The action. There's that part with the guitarist. And it's not really spoiling anything.
I hold on. I gotta find a meme on Facebook that I saw about that guy.
Okay. But I'll just keep talking about him. But he so there's this guitarist hooked up to a suspension system on top of a truck that's driving, and the whole movie, when you see him, he's playing his guitar, usually to the soundtrack that you just heard. Like, it just blends right in. It's very nice. And the guitar shoots fire. Mm-hmm. And from what I've seen, I haven't looked in depth in it, but that's a real guitar. And I know it's real when he's playing it, but the whole shooting fire part I heard is very real as well.
Well, Gene Simmons' guitar in Kiss, he has a flamethrower on the end of it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's very plausible.
Very, very possible.
Yeah.
And then the other guitar players have like confetti guns on there. So, what was that? Oh yeah, Motley Crue did have one. Nikki Sixx did.
So I would believe
That's
that.
Right.
And a lot of that.
Thank you.
There's a reason it's getting so high praise, because a lot of that was not CGI. It was just all boom. There it was. Obviously, the scenery was, because you had this nice desert landscape, but there's like this one part where it draws back and shows you a sandstorm. And it was
beautiful.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
It was really good.
That would have looked awesome in IMAX.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It was like a work of art. Really, is what it was.
Been better in IMAX, too.
Shot with those IMAX cameras. Have you seen those things?
No, I haven't.
They're gigantic.
What was the movie that they said is going to be shot in all IMAX? Is it the new Star Wars?
Could be.
I can't remember.
I can see that happening.
Yeah, it was something that is coming out in the near-ish future.
Yeah.
Yeah, going to be shot completely in those.
They shot one, if not most, of the Hunger Games in the IMAX cameras. But the thing about them is that they're so gigantic, they weigh a ton. At least now. I don't know if the technology's improved, but they weigh a ton, and they're loud.
Really?
They're very, very loud. And so there's this one part, I forget what, but they're filming it, and they have to go back and redub over themselves because you can't hear any dialogue when they're actually out there. That's how loud these things are. It's like, why are you using them? I mean, it's cool, but until the technology improves, like, why are you...
Have you ever seen that in a movie where you can clearly tell that they're basically lip-syncing their own lines?
No.
Oh, I have.
Have you? Which one?
I can't remember, but I've seen it in a few, and I feel like maybe I'm just looking too hard.
Yeah.
But I've seen it before, and it bugs me, and I'm kind of wondering if maybe that isn't why.
I'm sure I'm sure it happens a lot to where, maybe a street's too busy in the city or something like that.
Falls down on the set or, those types
so they
of
have
things. But anyway, this meme, so it's this dude standing, or not standing, hanging with his guitar and a flame shooting out of it. And it says, "Don't be a bard," they said. "Bards are lame," they said. That's great.
We'll put that up on the Facebook for you folks.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
But speaking of Facebook, if there's anything you guys want us to talk about, if you have any comments on this show, feel free to drop it in the comments section. If you're watching on YouTube, just drop it below. Please like the Facebook page. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Do all of the social things, especially share this episode with your friends, your family, whoever.
Everybody.
Everybody.
We're also on iTunes.
Do the iTunes vamp.
Yeah, it'd be cool if you could subscribe and perhaps leave us a review. It'd be pretty awesome if we could end up in the new and noteworthy section at some point.
Yeah. I mean, be as harsh as you want in the review. Give us 5 stars.
Give us 5 stars, but then rip us in the actual review.
Yeah, that'd be fantastic.
If you want. I mean, if you want to say nice things, that would be appreciated too.
Sure.
But we're also on Twitter at North by Nowhere.
On the Facebook page is facebook.com/North by Nowhere. Sorry.
There's not much of serious stuff that goes on the Twitter account, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. We're also on Google Plus, if anybody uses that.
Yeah, I don't even think people do.
Anybody does. But if you do, you can share us on there.
Oh, and Spreaker for On The Go.
Yep, Spreaker.com/North by Nowhere.
False.
Sorry.
Spreaker.com/show/North-by-Nowhere.
Well, in case we have misspoken.
We'll link it.
Yeah, we have links everywhere on every site. So yeah, just follow those, and we'll see you next time.